Hello. Today we'll be discussing three questions. Question number seven will be on the post-war, post 1962 war, how we restored the morale of the troops. Then question number eight will be regarding leadership in 1965, and question number nine is regarding uh, counter strategy to neutralize Pakistan's op Gibraltar. Question 7. How did Harbaksh Singh restore morale during Sino-Indian War of 1962 when troops were disheartened? Describe his roles and their impact. The Sino-Indian War of 1962 was one of the darkest moments of India's post-independence military history. Poor planning, inadequate logistics, tactical misjudgments, and the overwhelming preparedness of Chinese army led to the humiliating defeats in both the eastern and the western sectors. Amidst this crisis, when soldiers were shaken and public confidence was low, Lieutenant General Harbaksh Singh emerged as a figure of resilience and leadership. Through his various roles before, during, and after the war, he played a vital part in restoring morale, re-establishing confidence in the army, and laying the foundation for its revival. The background to the crisis. Indian Army entered 1962 conflict under unfavorable conditions. Many units were under-equipped, poorly acclimatized, and deployed without clear operational directives. Political leaderships underestimated the Chinese threat, while senior military command struggled with indecision. When Chinese forces launched coordinated offensive across Northeast Frontier Agency (NEFA) and Ladakh, Indian positions collapsed, leading to widespread demoralization. For soldiers, trauma was not just battlefield defeat, but also the perception of abandonment. Units felt poorly led, inadequately supported, and unfairly judged. In such a climate, morale plummeted. It was in this bleak context that Harbakh Singh's leadership assumed the importance. Harbakh Singh's role in the eastern sector. At the height of the war, Harbakh Singh was sent to Tezpur sector in Assam to take charge of the elements of 4 Corps which had been badly shaken. Retreats had degenerated into chaos, and morale was at its low ebb. His arrival itself was a psychological boost. He carried a reputation as a tough, no nonsense soldier who had proved himself in Kashmir in 1947-48. Personal presence and command. Harbakh Singh's immediate priority was to restore order and confidence. He moved unit among units and spoke to the officers, men, and directly and projected calmness in the face of panic. His very presence on the ground, interacting with troops rather than directing them from afar, reassured soldiers that they still have had leaders who would stand with them. Re-establishing discipline. He insisted on reorganizing retreating forces, halting the rout, and restoring unit cohesion. By enforcing discipline without harshness, he signaled that the army could recover. He reminded officers that panic was contagious, but so was the courage. His insistence on the holding positions marked the beginning of the psychological stabilization, reinforcing regimental pride. Drawing upon his Sikh martial heritage and broader regimental traditions, he emphasized pride in uniforms, units, and traditions. By reviving a sense of identity, he gave soldiers an anchor of stability when national morale was at its lowest. Harbaksh Singh's role in the Western sector. After the ceasefire, Harbaksh Singh was entrusted with the command of 33 Corps in the Eastern sector and later moved to critical assignment in the Western Command. His job was not only operational but also psychological to rebuild Indian Army's credibility. For that, he started training and readiness. He immediately initiated programs to improve training, acclimatized and physical preparedness. Unlike the hasty, ill-prepared deployments of 1962, he insisted that units must be battle-ready before being sent to forward posts. His, this restored soldiers' confidence in their own capability. Clear communication. One of the failures of 1962 had been poor communication from the senior leadership to the troops. Harbaksh Singh made it a point to issue clear, achievable orders, explain the purpose of operations. Soldiers who had once felt they were sent into battle without directions now understood the intent behind their mission. Confidence building through example. He continued his hallmark practice of leading from the front, visiting forward areas, sharing hardships, and demonstrating visible commitment. His physical presence was symbolic. If a senior commander could brave the conditions, so could the troops. Harbaksh Singh's leadership during 1962 had a effect on restoring morale. Soldiers who had been demoralized by defeat began regaining confidence. His speeches, examples, and personal example and strict yet supportive leadership helped troops forget the stigma of 1962 war. By focusing on training, discipline, and logistical preparedness, he signaled that professionalism, not rhetoric, was the path forward. Soldiers began to feel better equipped, both materially and psychologically, to face future challenges. Harbakh Singh's insistence on lessons learned ensured that 1962 was not merely a disaster but also a turning point. The reforms and the shifts he encouraged contributed directly to the Indian Army's vastly improved performance in 1965. Leadership qualities highlighted. The way Harbakh Singh restored morale during 1962 reveals several enduring qualities of his leadership. Moral courage. He did not shy away from confronting hard truths or from being present in the most demoralized sectors. Empathy. His concern for his soldiers' morale was not abstract. He walked among them, shared with their hardships, and listened to their grievances. Pragmatism. Instead of empathy rhetoric, he focused on the achievable goals, restoring discipline, training men, and ensuring logistical preparedness. Inspirational presence. This his confidence and composure under the pressure had a contagious effect, replacing panic with resolve. Long-term legacy of his role. The significance of Harbakh Singh's contribution during 1962 war lies not in winning battles. India suffered defeat, but in ensuring that the army did not collapse in spirit, he helped stem the tide of despair and laid the groundwork for the army's resurrection. His work was reorganized and remotivating formations uh, after 1962 directly prepared the Indian Army for the 1965 Indo-Pakistan War, where under his command as Western Army Commander, it performed with distinction. Thus, his role in 1962 can be seen as a bridge between humiliation and redemption. He was the leader who reminded the army that defeats are temporary, but morale and spirit must be eternal. To conclude, we can say Harbakh Singh's role during 1962 war was not about spectacular victories. It was about salvaging dignity, restoring morale, and preparing for the future. In the face of the national humiliation and widespread disheartenment, he stood firm, providing clarity and gave soldiers a reason to believe in themselves again. His actions demonstrated that leadership is most vital not in the moments of the triumph but in times of despair. By rebuilding confidence after 1962, He ensured that the Indian Army could fight with renewed vigor in 1965 and beyond. For young officers today, his example underscored that leadership is not about avoiding setbacks but about transforming setbacks into stepping stones for future success. Question 8. Analyze the leadership and tactical equipment displayed by Lt Gen Harbaksh Singh during the Indo-Pak War of 1965 as the Western Army commander. The Indo-Pak War of 1962 was the first full-scale conventional conflict fought by independent India after the Kashmir operations of 1947-48. It was a test of India's military institutions, political leadership, and ability of its armed forces to operate under modern conditions of mechanized warfare. At the center of this test stood Lt Gen Harbaksh Singh, the General Officers Commanding in Chief of Western Command, responsible for defense of Punjab, Jammu, and parts of Rajasthan. Harbaksh Singh displayed a rare combination of tactical acumen, moral courage, and the inspirational leadership. His conduct not only saved critical territories, including the holy city of Amritsar, but also redefining confidence of the Indian Army after the humiliation of 1962. India entered the war in 1965, just 3 years after its crushing defeat in Sino-Indian conflict. Morale was still fragile, modernization was incomplete, and political leaders were cautious. Pakistan, emboldened by the perceived Indian weakness, launched Operation Gibraltar in August 1965, infiltrating armed irregulars into Jammu and Kashmir. This escalated into full-scale war when India retaliated across the ceasefire line and the Pakistan counterattacked in Punjab. As UOC in Sea of Western Command, Harbaksh Singh's theatre was the most critical. Punjab was both agriculturally rich and symbolically important. Losing ground here would have been a national and political disaster. The stake not have been higher. Steadfastness against the orders. The chief of the army staff at that time, General Jain Chaudhary, wanted to stop the Pakistan offensive of Grand Slam in Akhnur sector head on and put in every force there. Harbaksh Singh refused that. He suggested also crossing IB and threatening Lahore so that enemy armor could be taken out. For this, he uh, could be taken out from the Champ area. For this, he even met Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri. Ultimately, he was able to convince people. Operational leadership in Punjab. As Western Army commander, Harbaksh Singh had to coordinate multiple corps across a vast front. His leadership was marked by clarity, foresight, and adaptability. Balanced offense and the defense. He authorized offensive operations in some sectors like the thrust towards Lahore to seize the initiative while also ensuring firm defenses in the sensitive sectors like Kemkar. Integration of arms. Harbaksh Singh emphasized combined arms coordination, artillery, armor, and infantry. Also the engineers. The victory at Asal Uttar, where Indian troops decimated Pakistani packet pattern tanks, was a direct result of sound defensive preparation and the synergy of infantry and the anti-tank weapons and the flexibility in command. He delegated authority effectively to the corps and divisional commanders, but retained close oversight. His ability to trust subordinates while maintaining overall control prevented confusion and the fragmentation of the effect. In the Asal Uttar, which was the turning point in Punjab. Pakistani forces launched a major armored offensive with their pattern tanks aiming to break through the Indian defenses. Harbaksh Singh ensured that the Indian units adopted a defense-in-depth strategy, drawing the enemy into prepared killing zone near Khemkarn. The result was the destruction of 90 Pakistani tanks, a blow that crippled Pakistan's armored strength. This victory was not only tactical but psychological and shattering Pakistan's aura of superiority. In the Lahore sector, under his command, Indian forces crossed the international border and advanced towards Lahore. This unexpected offensive surprised Pakistan, forcing it to divert resources from Kashmir or Jammu area. Though the advance halted short of Lahore due to the political considerations, it demonstrated Harbaksh Singh's belief in seizing the initiative rather than passively defending it. In the Sialkot and other fronts, in, in Jammu and Punjab sector, he coordinated corps level actions that inflicted heavy attrition on Pakistan while safeguarding key Indian positions. His tactical foresight ensured the Indian maintained pressure across multiple sectors, preventing Pakistan from concentrating forces. Regarding inspiring troop morale, the true hallmark of Harbaksh Singh's leadership was not just tactical decisions, but the morale he instilled. Uh, Troops who had remembered the despair of 1962 now found it in him a leader who exuded confidence. He frequently visited forward positions, sharing hardships with soldiers, listening to their concerns and reminding them of their mission. His frontline presence became a force multiplier. Soldiers fought with renewed zeal because they trusted their commander. Strategic and political sensitivity. Harbakh Singh also demonstrated political acumen. He understood that war was fought not only on battlefield but also in the realm of diplomacy and public opinion. By capturing Pakistani ground, he ensured that India entered the ceasefire with the bargaining chips. His insistence on threatening Lahore was a great strategy. So the legacy of 1965 war for the army, the war marked a redemption from 1962. His example showed that with sound leadership, Indian troops could face and defeat a determined adversary. Model of moral courage, insistence on going across the international border towards Lahore, and to that extent that he met the Prime Minister, was showing that moral courage he had in his conviction towards the national security. Foundation for the future doctrine. His emphasis on the combined arms operation and morale building influenced Indian operation doctrine in the later decades. Leadership qualities highlighted decisiveness under the pressure. He made bold decisions swiftly, often under conflicting instructions. He believed in seizing initiative, not merely reacting to the enemy. His concern for the soldiers' morale ensured they fought with extraordinary resilience. He understood the broader political and symbolic stakes of military operations. To conclude, as Western Army commander as in 1965, Lieutenant General Harbakh Singh proved himself not just a battlefield tactician but a leader of destiny. By refusing to yield ground, by orchestrating defensive victory like Asal Uttar, and by launching bold offensive across the border, he demonstrated rare tactical acumen. More importantly, by inspiring confidence in his troops and nation, he transformed the legacy of Indian Army from humiliation of 1962 to the triumph of 1965. His leadership is the timeless reminder that wars are won not by weapons, numbers, but by courage, conviction, and the ability of the commander to stand firm when nation's fate hangs in the balance.
Question 9. During the 1965 Indo-Pak War, Lieutenant General Harbakh Singh devised a key strategy to neutralize Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar. What was the primary objective of this offensive, and which critical geographical feature did Indian forces capture to achieve it? The 1965 Indo-Pak War posed one of India's most complex strategic challenges when Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar, a covert infiltration plan designed to ignite an armed uprising in Jammu and Kashmir. Instead of pursuing scattered guerrilla bands, Lt Gen Harbaksh Singh, then the GOC in C Western Command, recognized the need for a bold shift from defensive reaction to the decisive offense. His insight led to counter strategy that not only neutralized Operation Gibraltar but also shaped the course of the battle. Beginning 5th August 1965, thousands of Pakistani infiltrators crossed the ceasefire line. Their mission included sabotage of the bridges, ambushes, destruction of key installations, and incitement of the local population to revolt. The aim was a major uprising in Srinagar during a religious procession in October, followed by proclamation of the revolutionary government and a call for Pakistani military intervention. All the infiltrators depended on safe bases inside Pakistan occupied Kashmir. The Hajipir Pass, located in the Uri Punch Bulge, served as a central hub for men, weapons, and the supplies. General Harbak's strategic insight. Correctly assessed that chasing infiltrators across Kashmir's difficult terrain would be futile and exhausting. The real vulnerability of Operation Gibraltar lay in its logistical backup, the Hajipir Pass and associated supply lines. Instead of treating the symptom, isolated guerrilla groups, he aimed to strike at the heart of the operation. The primary objective of this counter strategy was to cut the infiltrators off from their bases by capturing Hajipir Pass. To execute this, he launched Operation Bakchi, to a two-pronged offensive on 25th August 1965. It had two thrusts: one, the eastern thrust, in which the Indian forces advanced from Uri sector, and the western thrust, a simultaneous advance, came from the Punch sector. The operation demanded extraordinary courage. Soldiers climbed steep, rugged ridges under intense fire and entrenched Pakistani regulars and Azad Kashmir troops. Fierce close quarter battle marked the ascent. By 28th August, the two columns linked up, and by 30th August, Hajipir was firmly in Indian hands. Strategic outcomes. The capture of Hajipir Pass achieved exactly what the plan intended. First was the isolation of the infiltrators. Gibraltar forces inside Kashmir were starved of men, arms, and ammunition. Collapse of the uprising plan. The envisioned October insurrection in Srinagar never materialized. Strategic compulsion of Pakistan. With Operation Gibraltar neutralized, Pakistan resorted to a desperate conventional offensive, Operational Grand Slam, which ultimately failed to alter the strategic balance. To conclude, we can say General Harbak's decision to seize Hajipir Pass was a masterstroke of operational art. By focusing on the enemy's center of gravity rather than scattered units, he turned a defensive situation into strategic opportunity. He preempted Pakistan's larger design for Kashmir and demonstrated courageous foresight that defined India's conduct of the 1965 war. The operation stands as a lasting example of strategic brilliance where clarity of objective, precision of planning, and audacity of execution combine to decisively shape the outcome of the entire campaign. With this, we have come to the end of the this group of three questions. Thank you.